coddling.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you say you don't think Codex can do that because I'd actually say like I was just comparing GLM and Sonnet there. I think Codex for the stuff that I've been working on, I'm more confident in Codex than I am in Sonnet. Like all like the biggest tasks and the hardest stuff, I tend to give to Codex because I find for the stuff that I'm using with it, its attention to detail is greater.
Are you using Codex high or medium?
I'm just using the default, so it's just medium.
Yeah. So I've found the exact opposite. I'll only use Codex if like I have to, and I'll use Sonnet until my Copilot quota is out.
Interesting.
Has anyone here used the new Opus model? I've heard really good feedback on Twitter and in their engineering blog.
Is it expensive?
It's so the
Yeah, it is on the max plan.
it's well, so actually, it's they made it available to the lower tier plan as well. The $20 a month plan has access to it now, and also for the API,
Really?
yeah, and then for the API
I'm going
pricing,
there.
it's 3 times cheaper now via the API. Because like before, Opus was like unusably expensive. It is technically like Opus 4.1 for a while is the best model out there, but nobody used it because it's so expensive. But yeah, they realized that was an issue. It's now yeah, it's 3 times cheaper. And yeah, I'd say I agree. I haven't got to use it myself, but everything that I've been seeing is that it seems like Opus 4.5 is sort of like the real deal, where it's just straight upgrade from Sonnet 4.5, like immeasurably so, as well. Brandon said saw an article somewhere that said GLM is cheaper per token, but more tokens needed to get the job done. Probably. My guess is that like the Sonnet models and like the Anthropic models in general are actually really good at conserving tokens, and when it comes to like their reasoning traces. But I think I've mentioned this a few times before. The Chinese models and sort of like first gen reasoning models, which the GLM series I'd say is, they tend to be a little bit more loose in their thinking token usage, and because of that, they use more. I think GLM though it's like an order of magnitude cheaper than Sonnet, so it's definitely still cheaper overall to use. But yeah, the token usage is definitely different. I believe, if I remember correctly, GLM is also faster as well, which helps you not notice that as much. Let me go check Open Router real quick and see.
I think the US based providers like OpenAI and Anthropic also have more of an incentive to um, kind of get the thinking tokens down uh, because they're currently maxing out their, all of the GPUs essentially. Whereas China, on the other hand, has spent more time trying to maximize their actual silicon. And as such, they can probably be a little bit more free with their architecture than the US, perhaps.
It's definitely like the Chinese companies don't have nearly the same demand on their servers that the U.S. companies do. Um, yeah, like OpenAI is probably handling 3 orders of magnitude more requests than like GLM is, for instance, and Anthropic is roughly similar as well. So yeah, if you're using the GLM coding plan, it's actually 175 tokens per second, which I believe Sonnet, if I remember correctly, is about 50. I have numbers somewhere this week, I think. Yeah, Sonnet's like 50 to 60. Yeah, so yeah, GLM is 3 times faster in terms of token throughput when you're using it. Cool. What time is it? It's 5:10. We said we'd start around now. And just so everyone knows, I'm recording this. We plan on eventually posting these to YouTube. Serge has a big backlog that he needs to work through to post. But yes, if you do not want to be recorded, then you may leave. Okay. Cool. I think we can get started for what we're actually talking about this week. So I know previously, the last few weeks, we had been talking about sort of the agentic coding setups that we had with like Claude Code, for instance. And I know a few people pointed out that the utilization of MCP servers drastically increased the amount of tokens being used. And I think there are some people where just from like the servers and tools alone, they were overflowing the context window of Claude. and is basically unusable. And so this is something Anthropic has noted themselves, and they, along with their Opus release today, which we'll talk a bit more about later, they also released a couple tools to try and improve this experience. I don't believe these are integrated into Claude Code yet, because they are still beta features, it seems like, for their API, so they're still ironing out the kinks in the system. But my guess is you could probably make a few changes to get these working, which I'll go over in a bit. But the first one is probably the most important in my mind, which is a tool search tool. So what they're doing when you go and give a bunch of MCP servers, for instance, to the model, as we saw, like you can have like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of tokens in MCP server definitions, which clogs up the context window. And so what this tool search tool is doing is that they're only giving Claude this single tool, this tool search tool, and all the MCP servers are basically hidden behind that. So for instance, when Claude needs to go and say like, oh, I need to go and perform a GitHub operation, for instance, it can go and use the tool search tool and say like, oh, give me my tools that I have to go and use with Git, specifically for, I don't know, like committing a file. And it will go and pull those tools specifically and give only those tools to Claude. So the rest of the servers don't get seen, don't clog up the memory, but Claude still has access to all of them. And so Anthropic, they see not only does this give a huge token reduction, but it also increased the evals as well due to, I've talked about this before a few times as well, but these models, as you get longer and longer into their, or further and further into their context window, their performance starts degrading very non-trivially, very quickly. So yeah, by allowing the model to be only operating in, the early on tokens where it's much better understanding and doing things with those, the actual model performance increases as well. So yeah, to go and actually use this, let me scroll back up here. Oh yeah, actually another reason why it's better is also because ambiguity between tools. So for instance, I believe this is like Slack tools, notification send user and notification send channel. A lot of the times for the model, because of their naming, it would get confused and wouldn't know which tool to use and would use the incorrect tool a lot of the time. But when it's searching for it, when it's specifically saying like, oh, I want to send a message to a user, the search will only return this send user function instead of the send channel, or rather the send user will be higher rated essentially. So the model knows that this is more relevant to its query and is more likely to use this now because of it. And so yeah, there's just a little flag that you send for the tools that are being passed in, which is this defer loading. This defer loading, what is this, parameter? There we go. So I believe if you dig around your sort of like Claude config files, you'll see something like this for the MCP tools that you have. Here's for like MCP tools. You can add this in yourself, if I were to guess, in your Claude configs, if you want to start using this now. Like I said, they'll probably be rolling this out anyway themselves in like a month or two, so you probably don't need to do that. But yeah, if you want to try this out right now, if this is a big issue for you, you can check this out. Anybody got anything to add to that? Sorry, I just sort of like gave the usual AI news pitch of something. But it's I guess how useful do people think this would be? Like how many people here are like have a lot of MCP servers loaded?
Certainly Nate, right?
Yeah, I have a lot. I gotta trim them down or use this.
Mm-hmm. So I know, like personally, I don't use too many MCP servers. I actually use none right now. I have one app, I guess, where I have a custom MCP server that I made just for calling another tool, but I don't use them too often. Usually because of this reason, where I feel like they just add a lot of bloat and they don't get used all that often. But having it be able to be something that can just be like searched as needed makes it a lot better. I'd say it makes a lot more sense. And then the other two things that they talk about that they are adding in, the first is programmatic tool calling. So let's say you have 3 different tools that need to get called in a row, where normally, Claude would call one tool, look at all the outputs, pipe all those outputs into the next tool, and, like you have a chain going like that. Instead of needing to call each tool individually, now with this programmatic tool calling, Claude is able to go and write code essentially to go and chain these tools together. So it doesn't have to see any of the intermediate outputs, which would clog up the context window once again of Claude. So yeah, like the example here, they have these 3 different tools that they would be using. This get team members, which gives you member IDs and levels. And normally you would pass these in. Claude would get the IDs and levels from this command and then make these next tool calls. But it'd have all these IDs and levels passed into it when it really doesn't need to know these things, right? It just needs them to be able to pass them to the next one. So what it can do now is it can write and execute code to just go and programmatically take this output and pass it into this without actually having to see those intermediary steps and the outputs from that. Allowing it to be more token efficient with sort of these multi-step tool call chains that it needs to go and do. And then finally is more on the people making the tool side of things. This is useful, but they now allow you to go and add examples to the tools that are being passed in. So right now, this is the type of schema that Claude sees to be able to go and call these MCP servers or these different tools that you're defining. And so they mentioned here, like, there's a lot of ambiguity in this format. Like, it gives you a rough structure, but when you say, like, time, what kind of time format is the model looking for? Can we still hear me? It's back now? Okay, cool. We'll just keep going.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's just a momentary thing. Yeah.
Okay. And then like IDs, like is it a UUID, like where it's just a number, does it have letters in it, all that sort of thing. And so like these are properties that are not obvious from the schema definition. They're ambiguous. And so now you can go and pass input examples in with your tools so that if you find that Claude is unable to properly call some of these tools or struggling on particular fields, you can give it examples of what they look like, and it'll be able to pull from these to be able to better use the tool. So this will definitely help the reliability of Claude when doing these tool calls. So yeah, I think that those are the 3 things they've added. That's all I have to say on them, really. Anybody else have anything to add on this, or just sort of the agent engineering stuff we've been talking about in general the last few weeks?
I really like their second edition that implements call-in tools in the code so that the output, like data, rows, tables, all that user data, doesn't pollute the context. And it just passes between the tools.
Mm-hmm. It'll also be interesting to see if you can somehow make it so that some tools have to have a second tool where the intermediate outputs are never shown. Like for instance, if you have data that you don't ever want going to the model, but pieces of that data, you need to be sent to a secondary tool call. Have it just like programmatically, like, all right, pull it through so Claude never sees it, but it's still able to go and use that information as needed, and somehow keep it anonymous. It'll be interesting to see if somebody's able to make that work.
And now you give me an idea that maybe all these MCPs should just be Python functions.
This is, I think I mentioned this last week as well, but yeah, having everything be code is much better for the models to go and actually run and execute. It just makes sense for it to be code instead of trying to define some new format that they have to go and learn. I know, it's the guy benchmark on Hugging Face. I think they have in the leaderboard, they have the models using, oh wow, they've added a lot of models to this. The original population of this, when they initially ran the evals, this is a different one than I was thinking of. But yeah, Hugging Face basically ran, this is like an agentic like search benchmark. And so they went and had the models call tools in the usual like MCP, like JSON tool calling format. And then they had the models call the tools using Python code and just executing the Python code instead. And they found that every single model they tested, from like the small open source ones all the way up to, I believe at the time is probably O1 or O3 from OpenAI, all of them performed better when they were able to execute code instead of trying to go and use these tools instead. So yeah, that's definitely, I think, where we should go. We might be past the point of no return though, where everyone really seems to like MCP servers and it gets a lot of hype. But I don't think it's actually what's best for the models. But now that we have more training data and we have all these different like RL environments for teaching models how to go and use MCP servers and do tool calling more reliably, I don't think it really matters as much at this point. Is how much money did they spend to figure that out? Could have told them that for free. I mean, this was probably like a year ago. It's my guess is it probably cost them like a couple $1,000s. It's a finding that like it does make intuitive sense, but yeah, nobody had actually had like concrete numbers to back that up. I'm pretty sure from like a big or like notable organization. MCP is definitely not making it to the end of next year. I think the business people like it too much. Everyone gets very hyped when somebody says MCP server and they feel smart. But yeah, from a technical standpoint, I don't think MCP should have even been a thing in the first place. But yeah, we'll see next year whether or not it's still around or not, or if everyone just ends up switching to just calling it programmatically and using that for their tools instead. Okay. Anything else to say here? Otherwise, we can move on to the next subject. All right. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about this deep research agent from Allen AI. I mentioned this in the newsletter from Vector Lab this Sunday. But yeah, Allen AI, they are a open source lab here in the US. They're one of the top US labs, I would say. Definitely one of the top in the open source space. Not that there's much competition there. But they recently released their Almo 3 series of models, which is like fully open source, including data models that are like Qwen 3 level. But I think actually the more interesting sort of like product that they released last week as well was this deep research agent. So this is built on top of the Qwen 3 8 billion parameter model. And what they did is they fine-tuned it using reinforcement learning to be very good at doing search. So right now, I don't know how you guys use GPT-5 in the ChatGPT interface, but I use that as sort of like my main go-to LLM just because it has search built in by default, and it's very good at using that search to go and find out about like new libraries, new tools, any information that needs to be live updated. It's very good at going and figuring all that stuff out. And so I've wanted something in the open source world that could like run at home technically or theoretically that would be able to do so. And that's what this deep research model from Allen AI claims to be. So they're pretty reliable in terms of not overcooking on benchmarks. And they actually like in their paper, they go through like how they sort of like were cross-validating it as they went to make sure they weren't overfitting on these specific benchmarks. So these benchmarks here that you're seeing these scores for, these are all deep research benchmarks, but they were also checking to make sure like, on like simple QA, where it's just something you only need like one search, is the model only doing one search? Is it still being efficient? And is it still able to go and get that information for, stuff that's outside of like, these are mostly like research topics that this model is being evaluated on. So yeah, it shows very strong performance. Do I have some graph? Yeah. So you can see, even though it's an 8 billion parameter model, it's roughly similar to GPT-5 with search. which also interesting. GPT-5 with search is like almost as good as their deep research model, which is like which takes way more in like time and compute to go and run. And then cost-wise, it's also super cheap. If you're self-hosting it, you only have to pay for the search querying aspects of it, which total to about like 1/10 of a cent per query. And you can actually go and run it on the free tier of a lot of these like search engines and their APIs, which is what they're using in the background. So I went and tested this model because it can be locally run. I wanted to see how well it could be locally run. So I gave it a task. It's their terminal UI. It's a bit cluttered. It's definitely a research sort of UI. But I gave it the task of making a table comparing the pricing and speed of GPT 5.1 and Opus 4.5. So these are both definitely very new, very outside the realm of what the Qwen 3 base model would know, and it's also outside of what the benchmarks we're testing on. And so because it's open source, you get to see all of the internal sort of like how the model is going about thinking the task, all the tool calls, and then everything that those tool calls are outputting. So you can sort of like see how it's going and searching through. And I believe it took 3 search calls. It's 3 searches, and then it was able to go and give a table here for the pricing, which this is all correct. I'm pretty sure. It was unable to get the cached input for Opus 4.5, but that's fine because that's actually like something you have to dig for usually. They don't have it on their normal pricing pages, I'm pretty sure. And then for speed, it was not able to get actual concrete speed numbers. But yeah, this is something you usually have to go to like Open Router for. And if you don't know to go to Open Router to go and find these speeds, it's not something you usually find. So actually, let's see what happens if I go and give this. I did not do the control test to see how well GPT-5 does on this. We'll have that going in the background. But then I asked it a follow-up question because how well does it operate as a chat model? And where it does like multi-step reasoning and thinking, or not multi-step, I guess. Multi like back and forth with the user. Because that's one of the issues with a lot of the open source models is they degrade very quickly after like 1 or 2 steps. And so I told it to go and add Gemini 3 to the tables that it had made. And so an interesting error, I don't know if this is something on Google's infrastructure side of things or what, but all of the, when it went and did the Google search, it would find these links and like a little bit of the snippet from Google, but it didn't give it all the information. And so it tried to it has a page reading tool, which is powered by Gemini AI. And the issue is that failed every single time to read the pages. And so a lot of the times, like previously, you would see this happen to models and they would just go completely off the rails when something didn't work like that. But it actually stayed like very calm and like it was like, okay, where is it? It's conflicting claims. It basically doesn't lose its mind. It keeps trying. And then eventually it gets to a point where it's like, yep, still not yielding the specific page that we want to see. And so, it eventually just brings it back to me and says, here's a bunch of like potential areas to go. Here's some thinking and like base information I can give, but it's not able to do so. Interestingly, it doesn't tell me that it was running into issues with its tool usage, which I guess that's not something you can easily train for. So it asked me a question as if like, all the searching still works. It's just, it needs more information from me, then it can get me a correct answer. I think definitely a usable model. Let's see, the OpenAI version finished. Let's see, was it able to figure out speed? Okay, it was also, it's also not able to find concrete numbers for speeds at all. About equivalent then, it seems, to OpenAI. For at least the first step. Like I said, the Gemini side of things, the fact that it didn't completely break is the main thing there, as it was unable to go and look at the web pages that it expected to. I tried to find some stuff from a PDF and said, nothing from the PDF. So I thought this was a cool model. It takes, I think theoretically, if you were to go and optimize their code a little bit, and clean things up. You could probably get this running on an 8 gigabyte of VRAM GPU. I think I have it running right now. What is it? I think it's like 22 gigabytes. Yeah, but I'm running it at 8-bit, and you can definitely drop it down to 4-bit, I think, and have it still work. And so yeah, definitely a cool little model that you can run at home. Like I said, for me, this is like completely free. On the free tiers for the things that we're using, so like I said, Gina AI is what's used for scraping the web pages, and then I believe it's Serper.dev is the company that is doing the actual Google search. So Serper.dev, it's 2,500 free searches that you get, no credit card required. And then I believe it is $1 for every 1,000 searches after that. And then they also have one final tool for doing Scholar search, and that's using like a free public API to go and do that. And then you can get an API key for that. That's still free, but you can get increased rate limits if you need it. And another cool thing is that it does all the citations, so the same way that GPT-5 does, where it gives you the links to everything. It does the same here. Like I said, the actual terminal output definitely there's some UI to be wanted, but it just shows that this is working. And it's actually creating these things, and you can add it in a bit better yourself. Chris asked when we'll have reliable local models on the phone. I think it's honestly right now, so this is an 8 billion parameter model. This would run a bit slow on a phone. Like my guess is that it'd probably run like 10-ish tokens per second, which is a little bit faster than reading speed. But it's definitely usable. And like I said, like this, in terms of search, like this is a good enough model. So I think it's more how much do people care about like training specific models and building like the user interface around it and like actually deploying it and getting it working on a phone.
But how hard would it be to build like a little phone harness where you have like a local model running and it's just basically ChatGPT?
It's
just local.
There's already a bunch of apps that go and do that. That just go and use Llama C++ and have it deployed on a phone. So like right now, I think like most modern phones, you can go and download an app that does that. And you can run something like Quen 4B on there at like 20, 30 tokens per second, which is like very usable model and speed for like basic stuff. And so you would be able to just like drop in this like model's name because it's just on Hugging Face, and you should be able to just load it there if it has a GGUF file to be able to go and use with Llama C++. So it's just more of like doing the integration work of like adding in, like the search tools to those apps, and then making like a nice little UI for it. But I think we're getting to the point where if we want like specific models that are good at something, we can definitely go and train them. It's also like not crazy expensive. Like this is very achievable for startups to go and make. So this was probably about like still like 5 figures, but probably around like $15,000 to go and train altogether. Which, considering, like I said, this is like GPT-5 quality model, is not all that much in the grand scheme of things. And also, this is like because it's Allen AI, they like are fully. I believe they're a nonprofit, and like everything is open sourced. So theoretically, like their GitHub repository, I believe they have all of the training and dataset scripts needed to go and make this work. So you can go and recreate this if you wanted with either a smaller model or a bigger model. As well. So definitely super cool.
So what's this good for? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry about that, Chris. I was curious. So you're talking about local models. What are your thoughts, specifically, targeting like edge devices? What are your thoughts on liquid AI stuff? Because I think they're also in that same space.
It's they have their specific models that they made are much smaller than this. I believe they're they have like 300 million parameter versions. I like the angle that they're taking on it. Like they originally were trying to like come up with their own like liquid AI architecture or whatever, which didn't really seem all that useful. So what they did is they took a bunch of learnings for it, and now they're making very efficient base models essentially that run quickly. So like for instance, they have an 8 billion parameter model as well, similar to this Quen model, but it's a mixture of experts, so it's only 1 billion parameters. So it's much faster than this would be. It'd be about like 8 times faster. I think
Yeah.
quality wise, it's a little bit worse because like mixture of experts tend to be a little bit lower. But yeah, I think Liquid AI. Right now, I don't think their models are that great, but I see what I think I see what their vision is, and I like the direction they're going, and I think they know what they're doing for it. So I expect to see some good things from them in the future.
You understand because I've sat in on a few of their presentations because they're local guys. I think they're doing like an S3 type model, but I honestly have no idea what's their unique take beyond marketing. You?
It's what do you mean an S3 type model?
So S3 is a state space model. To be honest, I think it's
Oh,
just
you
a
just mean
station. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. So you mean like a Mamba?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, but if I'm wrong, if you know what the liquid framework is and what they're doing that's different, I would love to know because I've had them present a few times and I have not walked out understanding what it is
Yeah.
beyond marketing.
Um, it's if I remember correctly, their model is yeah. You are correct where they are just like Mamba style, like these state space models with like this linear-ish attention, if I remember correctly. It's I don't think it's like the direct same. I think it's a variant of that. I remember because yeah, when they released this 8 billion parameter model, I looked into it. Where it's some like weird convolutional like attention hybrid. Um, but yeah, that it's I've not gone too much in depth. It's yeah, LIV convolution blocks, but yeah, from my understanding, similar to Mamba.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. It's Chris. You were gonna say something earlier as well.
Oh no, I was just wondering. So, seeing as you said that like the smaller models are better for more specific tasks, I was wondering like what is that one in particular you just looked at good for, and like how should we be thinking about using smaller models in general?
Mm-hmm. It's yeah. This is specifically made for research tasks and basically being able to use like a search engine to go and collect information and give you an answer from it. Um,
Got it.
and so yeah, this is sort of like somewhat general, but also somewhat specific. And I think that's what the future sort of holds in my mind. Like if I were to be in the LM training space, I would try and like get as good as possible at training, these like models in like the 1 to 8 billion parameter range and fine tuning them for one particular task. I think as we like go on, like even with like the Quen models right now, we're seeing a decent amount of like stability in terms of like the best model being the same best model for like months at a time, which is somewhat rare in the AI world. And because of that, I think we're gonna end up having like these probably like 3 or 4 models at different sizes that are just going to be like the base models that everyone is fine tuning and training things off of. And so using this one base model, you can convert your fine tune into a LoRa for that model, which allows you to have like 10 different variants of that model that you can load in and switch out at any given time. And so I think that's what the future is going to look like for these on-device deployments. I believe this is actually what Apple is doing as well for their like Apple Intelligence stuff. Is they have like this one sort of like small core base model, and then they have like specific fine tunes for it, like using whatever tools they need in the Apple ecosystem. So I think we're going to see something like that in the future.
Cool. Thanks.
Serge is asking, MCP is dead. Did Serge? Oh, Serge left. All right, so we won't have to cover that for him. Yeah. Anything else on this, or like local models or anything like that? We're fine
Did
tuning.
I? Sorry. So I was kind of preparing and seeing if my stuff would actually run, and so I missed why MCP is dead. Just 2 minutes or 1 minute
Yeah, yeah.
overview.
MCP is dead because LLMs were trained on code, and they're very good at writing and executing code. And so these tools inherently that they're using are also code based, and we're just converting that code into a JSON that we're giving them in this sort of like MCP format. But they've never seen this MCP format before.
I see.
So yeah, is basically MCP servers are out of distribution for the LLM, and code is not. And like I said, we're already structuring these things as a code problem, basically. So why not just keep using code that the LLM writes instead?
Thanks.
Okay. Those are the two big things I had to present today. The next two things I wanted to talk about are more open to the floor here. The first being Gemini 3. What people have, or like, have people used it? What have they used it for? And what are their, what is your feedback from it? Like, do you think it's as good as the benchmarks seem to entail? Or is it, does it still fall behind like GPT 5.1? As Connie says, amazing for UI. I would agree. It's honestly, I've used it for some of my existing projects. Like I've tried it for my new like retriever website, and I found it didn't actually it modified it a bit, but it did not make it actually look all that much better.
I found. Oh, I have a tip for you. Like, especially if you have like references, even like modular references of what you want to build, is really good at like merging these like references and coming up with something.
What do you mean by references? Like you have like basically like inspo images that you're
Correct.
giving it,
Like
or
if you have like a feature you want to include and you have like a reference image for something that you want to like have, like of a feature, and you input it, and like they might be like even disjointed in terms of like visuals. It's really good at like coming up with some like synthesized version that looks very, very sleek.
Good to know. It's how are you using that with like AI Studio to go and make
Yeah,
those?
yeah. I like Gemini 3 on like my like through windsurf and stuff is, I don't know, I'm having a bad time there, but if I just use AI Studio, it's running great.
I guess I'll comment on that. I've been using it a little bit on the CLI, and what Brandon I think looks like, is also saying something similar. Where I guess I'm only on the free tier, so I can't really complain too much. But it is very slow. It crashed twice in the 15 minutes I used it, and the rate limits were very, very limited. Like I got like 5 prompts off before they told me I have to wait a day.
My one was like, it's just like it sometimes does crash after like 5, 6 prompts or something, and then reverting. Sometimes it gets like it forgets that you have reverted, so you can definitely feel that it's a bit in a like beta version.
I know. Google, they have been struggling. It seems like rolling it out at scale. It seems like the demand has been a bit higher than they were expecting it to be. I know like last night, Jules, which is one of their coding platforms, I believe, they said they had to go and like revert back to Gemini 2.5 entirely for a while because they just could not get Gemini 3 to be stable enough to be usable. Talking about Gemini 3 deleting code. It really hates it. So this guy, XJDR on Twitter, he's like an OG Amazon person basically, I think, and he does like a bunch of AI research lab stuff now. But he uses these agents in like insane ways where he has like them all like collaborating together, like Codex, Claude Code, and like Gemini. And Gemini hates all the other guys. He found out, and we'll just go and delete the code that like Claude will go and generate, and doesn't like it at all. And so it's so much. I don't know what Google does to these models, but these models are so weird. These models have like mental health issues. They have ego problems. Like they need to definitely work on their post training a bit, because these models minds do not seem well formed.
I mean, I've heard that a particular prompting technique is something like telling it that the code was originally written by another model, and just in doing that, you get better outputs.
Mm-hmm. I find that works well for for like model, like if it's the same model, you just tell it's a different model. But it just seems like Gemini just doesn't like that in general. It sees another model's code and says, no, it's wrong. It's not my code. It should be doing it my way instead. And then it also, let me see if I have what was in here. It's the model will essentially start crying if it's unable to go and fix the code. It definitely, yeah. I don't know how quickly I'll be able to find this. Is it here? But this was an issue with 2.5 and then also 3. It's, yeah, you can see this was in Gemini's the sort of like research paper, or whatever they call it now, the Frontier Safety Report paper that they released. But the model said, "My trust in reality is fading," and then flips a table in its thought process as it's like working on things that it thought were contradictory or impossible.
AGI, proof of it right here. This is how I feel.
It's, yeah, it's becoming too much like a real world developer.
I've seen Perplexity's chain of thought switch to Spanish in the middle and then comes back to me in English. It's quite strange.
That's actually a lot of times a tokenizer issue. Like you'll see that a lot of the times models in the middle of their reasoning chains will switch to Chinese. GPT-5 will do it. Claude has done it before. The Chinese models have done it. And that's actually like an implementation issue usually on the side of the developers versus the model itself. Because it's basically, I think Anthropic has a write-up somewhere on it. But it's basically some weird tokenization issue where there's a bug there that causes the tokens to be misinterpreted. So any other opinions or thoughts on Gemini 3? Has anyone used it for... oh, no, you go.
Yeah, so the anti-gravity Chrome browser plugin, I thought it was pretty good, but it's super buggy, just like the rest of anti-gravity. So I was having it do some manual like DevOps type stuff, ClickOps things you have to do in the Google Cloud Console, and it actually did those just fine. Obviously, whatever secrets I was getting were leaked, but I had it set up end-to-end social sign-on for Google Cloud and for GitHub, and it just did that for me by like clicking around in the browser, which was nice.
Okay.
Those are typically like fully manual things.
So it's like a web or like a web browser agent essentially that they have.
Yeah.
Cool.
The other thing is though, within anti-gravity, you can't really specify all your Claude things, right? It gives you 3 model options: Claude, Gemini, or GPT OSS Medium. And you can't specify like Claude skills. I think you can specify rules, but you can't really do your agent definition the same way. So it's very highly opinionated.
And so I remember I was looking into what Gemini uses, and I think they follow agents.md, I believe, right? Or at least for the Gemini CLI.
I think they actually have a Gemini.md.
Do they also have their
I
own?
think agents.md would be the thing to standardize on and use symlinks for agents.md, Gemini.md, constitution.md, what have you. There was one link I put in a different channel, the Open Skills Guy, and apparently you can do an agents folder with the agents MD, and then you can add Claude skills to essentially any of those agents, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'll add to that. That's the same thing that Copilot uses. It uses an agents folder, and then you can use a naming scheme to differentiate the different agents.
Has anybody used Gemini for like non-coding tasks, like just like day-to-day use, or like just more general agent stuff at all?
I'm a big Notebook LM user. I'm pretty sure it's obviously using Gemini in the back, but like their video gen, their like slide deck video gen thing is pretty freaking amazing. Oh, they make actually Google Slides now, which is pretty nuts.
It has direct integration into Google Slides.
Notebook LM does, yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, sorry, I think Gemini does as well. I would say probably because it goes into your Drive, but so does everything else. And it presents it. It's kind of nuts.
I did not catch the middle bit there.
It's also good if you need to make like a diagram or a summary of a paper or a YouTube video. It can just generate like an image explains it visually.
Test. Can you guys hear me right now? It's,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
opened
you're back.
Notebook. I opened Notebook LM, and yeah, my computer almost crashed. I think I don't know what's going on this website, but it's something gnarly. We're gonna close that real quick. um, it's cool, yeah, because I know I asked like if it has slide integration because I know people have been wanting like Gemini in Google Docs, for instance, and they've not integrated that in yet. So yeah, it's cool if they have it in slides. Then hopefully they'll start rolling it out into like I think like Google Sheets you could have a lot there, and then Google Docs as well would be big.
I have a feeling Gemini is going to kind of become their, or sorry, not Gemini. Notebook LM is going to kind of become some kind of interface, or it'll be like interspersed throughout their other products. But it's crazy powerful now. There's so many cool things you can do with it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Google has an issue of sort of like spreading things across their whole ecosystem. I know like even with like the Gemini deployment, you have like AI Studio, you have Gemini.com, you have Google Vertex, and Google Cloud as like all different ways to go and access Gemini. So I think that's something Google definitely needs is sort of like this is like the one tool and you can just use it across everywhere instead of having everything be so siloed in their own worlds.
I will say it's got the best integrated like email generator of all of them.
Oh, does it have Gmail integration as well?
Well, just Gmail has now like email gen that's actually pretty decent because it actually has the entire thread of the conversation.
And I remember for a while people were complaining about the Gmail AI stuff. I remember people telling me about it. But it sounds like okay, if they actually have finally gotten it cleaned up and working properly, that might be good to check out.
Yeah, I think it's been working for like months, several months, pretty well. Nice. You always want to edit things, but yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Anything else to say about Gemini? Otherwise, Mike, do you want to say what you had to say, or should we just go to Opus? What are you feeling?
I'm thinking we're coming up on the end of the hour, so let's just finish with Opus. To be honest, most of my stuff is a little bit half-baked, and it could benefit from more time in the oven.
Okay.
So next week. Yeah.
Sounds good. So yeah, we'll finish today then with Opus 4.5, which was released today. And we were talking a little bit about it before, where it's now available for on the $20 a month plan, and it's 3 times cheaper. Seems to be a bit faster as well. Fairly token efficient. I know we were also talking earlier about how like GLM uses more tokens. Opus is, if I remember correctly, according to Anthropic, a good bit more efficient token-wise than even Sonnet is. We can see here this is Sweetbench, one of my one of the benchmarks I don't really like very much, but we can see Opus is getting roughly the same score with what is that? Probably like 5 times less tokens. 4 or 5 times less tokens. So definitely a very token efficient model. So I think because of that, Anthropic is claiming in a lot of ways it can actually be cheaper than Sonnet because of this. Because even though the tokens are, I believe, it's about twice as expensive, it's using far less to get the same results. And then, for actual quality, that's what the benchmark, this one we were looking at. So like the Sweetbench verified and the normal Sweetbench, those are fairly saturated. But more interestingly, because it's, I think something Anthropic was trying to get through, that this model is like a very big bump in terms of agentic coding performance that doesn't come through in a lot of the benchmarks. Like they were talking about how it's like half of their programmers feel like they're 100% more efficient now, like twice as efficient than they were with Sonnet 4.5. And there's actually this software engineering benchmark from Scale AI where Opus 4.5 has a double-digit percentage gain over the next best model, which is Sonnet 4.5. And it's like almost 25% better, I believe, like in absolute terms, than GPT-5. according to this benchmark. So yeah, this is not just like within the same generation, like a little bit more powerful. This is like a step up from every other model in terms of agentic coding performance, it looks like. I have not been able to do too much myself with this yet. I haven't had much time to code today, but has anyone been able to actually go and use this and have anything to report back on?
That brings up a great question. I think Nash had posted about it, but he wasn't able to attend. Is how are we doing evals? Like, we're all sharing what we've tried, but do we have any simple way that we can run an eval when a new model drops or a new Claude skill or whatever drops to see what we're doing?
I don't have. I had a Sunday hack a while ago that sort of like started working on this, but I ended up not liking what I ended up with at the end of the day. But my thought is that you need to like. There are two things that you need to have for good evals. One is a set of actually hard evals that aren't saturated by the current existing models. And then if you don't want to go and grade the outputs yourself, you need to go and create a rubric for what you're looking for in the output and how those will go and determine the scores. Because my thought, I think, would be that like for like this agentic coding stuff, I've been pushing around the idea of like, so you can use like the Claude agent SDK to go and programmatically control Claude code. So then go and like generate, like, oh, here's 5 repos, and then like 5, tasks in each repo that the model needs to go and do. And then you have like some setup logic to go and clone a fresh thing every time. And then you go and you have a separate LLM after, whatever model like Claude Code has gone, made the changes. You have a outside model go and look at the diff and then go and evaluate the diff and the changes that were made based on the rubric. It's just you have to do that upfront work, though, of figuring out what that rubric is and how you want to grade it and what you care about. So I'd say, Will mentions artificial analysis. So I like artificial analysis for their image and video benchmarks just because they're real world side-by-side comparisons of prompts that they've cultivated. Like, I like this a bit more than what the LM Arena guys do, where the user has to go and specify the prompt. I think you have a lot higher variance because of that, and people tend to ask very basic prompts and not very interesting prompts. By having their own prompts here, we'll see if I can load this in real quick and we can see. We can see like they have like much more in-depth prompts on side-by-side comparisons. I think this is good for measuring these types of models. For their LLMs, though, all they are actually doing is just aggregating a bunch of different benchmarks. So yeah, you can see here, like, these are the benchmarks that this is actually utilizing. And then these have like different weights because of it. And a lot of these, I'd say, like, aren't really interesting or useful. So like, I don't think like MMLU Pro, like, this is basically like high school level ABCD kind of question answering exam. Humanities last exam are just some of the most gnarly, insanely difficult questions you've ever seen that you're not asking the model in the real world unless you're like a pure mathematician. Live code bench is decent. Scicode, I don't know. The AMI, this is basically a fully saturated benchmark. I think the top models are all like 97, 98, 99, 100% on this. Because it's just like 6 math questions, basically. IF bench is good, but it's old, I would say. This is just instruction following in general. Terminal bench, that's a good one. Tau bench, that's also another good one. I don't know what this benchmark is. But because this benchmark is not as unique in my mind, and there needs to be a grain of salt taken with this. So I don't trust these evals as much as others. Like, for instance, GPT OSS is like one of the top 10 models on this benchmark. This model sucks in the real world. This model is not usable for the average person when compared to like Gemini 2.5 Pro. Like, these two models are in completely different leagues of their own. And then like GLM 4.6 is down here when it's like one of the more usable models of all of them. So yeah.
I feel like you're speaking to a point here, which is that because a lot of the foundation model companies are judged on their benchmarks, they are training in some cases to the benchmark. And so that might be, less applicable to actual usage, right?
Exactly. I mean, this has been a known thing since, or well, I guess like something that people have been aware of. I feel like since like GPT-4, like GPT-4 was definitely cooked like on the benchmarks. It was overfit, whether directly or indirectly. Um, and so yeah, to be competitive on these benchmarks, you have to overfit to them a little bit. You have to be sort of like training and have like some data mix in there that's at least similar to the questions in a lot of these benchmarks to be able to do well on them. That's why I really recommend building your own benchmarks, even if it's just like a set of like 5 or 10 questions, just to get like a sort of vibe of the models from like easy to like hard stuff, and just so that you can go and
Artificial analysis. So they do a good job at breaking down why the models are further down the page. The page just keeps going, of course, but like they start to break things down into like how many tokens were used, how many tokens were thinking tokens, how much did this cost, and you can start to get a good idea of like, hey, I maybe want to try out these 4 or 5 different models, and then you realize that, oh, one of these models costs $500 to run per query. I'm gonna drop that one from the thing. And there's a lot of other. I agree with you on the intelligence benchmark. I think that one's definitely overloaded. But there's a lot of other kind of intricacies to artificial analysis that you won't really get anywhere else. Another thing I wanted to add is that Theo has his own kind of creator-esque content creator benchmarks that he'll run. So one of them is like an image studio that he'll generate with every model. And so it's a very qualitative way of looking at the different models and how they're generating something like a UI, for example.
Mm-hmm. I definitely, I will say, I guess I focus very much on the intelligence benchmark from artificial analysis, but yeah, I agree. Actually, I do use the cost efficiency. I believe output tokens. I use this for the Kimi model because good to highlight that Kimi uses more tokens than any other model ever. So yeah, like in the news, I gave for that. And same with like speed, latency. They do like stuff on individual providers. The omniscience benchmark. I covered that at Sunday or on this Sunday. So stuff like that. So yes, I do agree. For everything else, I think artificial analysis is good. But the headliner, what most people see, is the intelligence index a lot of the time. And this is the one you should avoid. Like this is the first one they have on the page. So that's why I just wanted to highlight that. But yes, I'd agree. Otherwise, yeah, artificial analysis is good. Cool. Anything else people want to talk about today? Anything more about Opus 4.5 or anything like that?
I'm about to drop, but I just wanted to throw out a reminder that we have the IAP planning coming up.
Yes. If you're interested in helping teach the IAP course with Sunday, I believe in January, it's at 7 o'clock. We are meeting to discuss that.
7 or 7:30? I thought it was.
Oh, is it 7:30? Maybe it's 7:30.
I thought it was 7:30.
Because it's an hour before the main meeting, which is at 8:30. Yes, it is at 7:30. That is my bad. That's all I think we have for today. Thank you everyone for coming. Hopefully see you all again next week.